He wore duct-taped shoes in a room full of millionaires. They laughed when he stepped forward. But in 10 seconds, he did what no doctor could do. And when offered $1 million, he said no. This is the true story of the boy who had nothing, but possessed everything that mattered. Stay with me, because what happens next will change how you see power forever. Welcome to the story room. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. Picture this. A room filled with expensive suits and designer watches. Crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. Everyone important. Everyone wealthy. Everyone watching. And in the center of it all stands Thomas Gray, the real estate king of Chicago. The man who owned half the city's skyline. Buildings with his name carved in gold letters. But today, something was wrong. His face was pale. His hand trembled. Pain gripped his chest like an iron fist, and no doctor could tell him why. Tests came back normal, but the pain stayed. Sharp. Real. Frightening. So he did what powerful men do when they're scared. He made a joke. "Whoever can heal me right now," he announced to the room, his voice loud enough to hide the fear. "I'll pay them $1 million. Cash." The room erupted in laughter. Nervous laughter. The kind that fills empty spaces when no one knows what else to do. That's when everyone noticed the boy. He stood near the back wall, barely visible among the crowd. Maybe 14 years old. Wearing a jacket 2 sizes too big and sneakers held together with duct tape. His mother stood beside him, a cleaning woman who worked in this very building at night. She'd brought him along because she had no one to leave him with. And now, as the laughter died down, he started walking forward. His mother grabbed his arm. Her eyes pleaded. "Please don't. They'll hurt you with their words. They'll make you small." But the boy had learned something his mother didn't know. Something his grandfather taught him before he passed away 3 years ago. His grandfather wasn't a doctor. He was a fisherman in a small coastal town. But he knew bodies. He understood pain. He could feel things others couldn't, like the way water feels rocks beneath its surface. On quiet evenings, his grandfather would take his hand and teach him. "Listen with your fingers, not your ears," he'd say. "The body speaks if you're patient enough to hear it." Now, in this expensive room full of people who never noticed him before, the boy remembered those words. He kept walking. Security guards moved toward him. A woman in pearls shook her head in pity. Someone whispered, "Who let him in here?" Thomas Gray watched the boy approach, one eyebrow raised. Amused. Curious. Still in pain. "You think you can help me, kid?" His voice dripped with doubt. The boy didn't answer with words. He simply held out his hand. Calm. Steady. Respectful. The room went silent. That heavy kind of silence where everyone holds their breath. Thomas almost waved him away. Almost. But then the pain flared again, stealing his breath, making him gasp. And in that moment of weakness, he said, "Fine. Try." The boy stepped close. He placed 2 fingers on Thomas's wrist. His eyes closed. And then something extraordinary happened. The room faded away for the boy. All he felt was the pulse beneath his fingers. Fast. Uneven. Panicked. He felt heat radiating from the shoulder. Tightness bunched near the collarbone. His grandfather's voice echoed in his memory. "Pain is just the body screaming for help. Find where it's trapped. Set it free." Slowly, gently, the boy adjusted Thomas's arm. He pressed certain points, released others. His other hand rested near the shoulder blade, where tension hid like a coiled spring. 10 seconds passed. Maybe less. Thomas's breathing slowed. His shoulders dropped. The shaking stopped. He blinked. Confused. He waited for the pain to return. It didn't. Thomas moved his arm. First slowly, then fully. No stabbing sensation. No fire in his chest. Just nothing. Normal. Free. His eyes widened. He stared at the boy like he was seeing a ghost. "What did you just do?" he whispered. The boy opened his eyes and stepped back. When he spoke, his voice was soft but clear. "I listened." A doctor rushed forward, checking monitors. The numbers that had been erratic for hours now settled into perfect, normal rhythms. The doctor looked at the boy, then at his equipment, then back again. He had no explanation. Thomas laughed, but this time it was different. It broke in the middle, turned into something real. Something vulnerable. He looked at the boy. Really looked. Not as a joke. Not as someone beneath him. As a person. "You healed me," Thomas said, his voice shaking. The boy shook his head gently. "Your body did the work. I just reminded it how." Those words landed in the room like stones in still water, sending ripples everywhere. Thomas reached for his phone, ready to transfer the money immediately, ready to solve this the way he solved everything, with wealth. But the boy raised his hand. "Please." "No money." The room froze. "Why not?" Thomas asked, genuinely confused. The boy thought of his mother's tired eyes, his grandfather's weathered hands, nights when dinner was bread, and hope. "Healing isn't something you buy or sell," he said carefully. "It's something you give. It's a responsibility, not a business." Something shifted in Thomas Gray in that moment. Something deeper than pain ever reached. Something that had been asleep for years suddenly woke up. He stood there, this man who owned towers of glass and steel, this man who could buy almost anything. And he realized he was standing in front of someone richer than he'd ever be. Slowly, Thomas knelt down. Right there on the marble floor. He met the boy at eye level. "Thank you," he said. Simple. True. Human. The boy nodded once. By evening, the story had spread across the city. By the next morning, it was everywhere. The poor boy. The powerful businessman. The moment that changed everything. But the boy didn't stay for the attention. He left with his mother, disappearing into the streets where life continued as it always had. 3 weeks later, something changed in that neighborhood. A new medical clinic opened. Free care for anyone who needed it. Thomas Gray funded it, but he didn't put his name on it. He asked the doctors there to do something different. To listen more than they tested. To touch more than they prescribed. To remember why they became healers in the first place. Thomas never used the boy's name for publicity. Never claimed credit for the story. He just changed. And the boy? He kept learning. Kept practicing. Kept carrying his grandfather's lessons like a candle in the dark. Because some stories don't end with applause and fame. Some stories end with something quieter. Something stronger. Respect. Sometimes the greatest power in the world doesn't shout. It whispers. Sometimes the wisest teachers never went to school. And sometimes the person who can heal your deepest pain is the one you'd never think to see. If this story touched your heart, let us know where you're watching from. Share what quiet strength means to you. And remember, the heroes who change the world are often the ones no one notices. Until they do. Thanks for your watching. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to the Story Room for meaningful stories that inspire and teach life lessons.